around the ball, around the ball. It's around the ball, the Ball Clemson podcast. It's around the ball, around the ball. It's around the ball, the Ball Clemson podcast. It's around the ball.
All right, well, the Clemson Tigers are back from Boston, and it doesn't take a Harvard scholar to know that the Tigers came back with a big win, their second in a row. Sorry to all my Boston friends out there. I do have a couple, so that is my absolutely vain attempt at replicating your accent, but hey, all in good fun. The fun is in the winning, as Dabo Swinney says, and right now, after another blowout victory, 41-10 over the Eagles in Chestnut Hill, Caden, I think that Clemson has to be at least feeling decently good about themselves as they come back to Death Valley for the first time in a while.
Absolutely. I mean, North Carolina and Boston are not super high pedigreed opponents. I don't think they're very good football teams. But I mean, Clemson, we haven't been taking care of business very often this season. And just seeing us do that does feel good. Seeing us be able to go into a Saturday where I honestly was confident in the team going in. They never really gave us much of a scare. It felt good to see that. And it makes me feel better going into this next game against SMU.
Right, and we're going to talk about that game here in just a few minutes and break it down and what we think we can expect on Saturday. But when you look at the Boston College game as a whole, and again, I wrote this in my reaction piece. You can check that out on the website, clemsonsportsmedia.com. But once again, it's almost like the UNC game. There was a lot of good, but still some things that I think should be concerning for this Clemson team. But let's talk about the good first. I saw somebody mention online that Bryant Wesco should be considered as a Biletnikoff Award. Somebody, he should be on the watch list anyway. I tell you what, I think he should be more than on the watch list. Right now, Bryant Wesco is playing like one of the best receivers in the country.
Absolutely. I mean, 5 catches, 106 yards, and a touchdown this past game. I mean, he's been incredible. He's the deep threat, but he's also consistent in those intermediate areas down the field. I think he's simultaneously someone that you wanna design touches up for and get him the ball in space. You also want to attack downfield with him as a deep threat, and that's a good mix. He's someone that can get you 10 catches for 80 yards and can also have those 3 catches for 85 yards in a game. And so I think he's an exciting, dynamic player. He's continued to take that step each year, and yeah, he's one of the better players in football. I hope he sticks around because I fully agree.
Right. Excuse me. And let's not pretend that Boston College's defense is anything exemplary to write home about. But Cade Klubnik also had another good game passing the football. And for a team, and particularly an offense that has struggled so mightily through the first 4 games of the year, to have back-to-back games, even against subpar opponents, where you put up a lot of points, especially in the first half. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you're putting up a lot of points and doing it early. I would imagine that's a huge confidence booster, even if you know it's not against great defenses.
Absolutely. I mean, Cade, he's had now 3 straight, I would say, solid games. Now, well, obviously, Syracuse, looking back when it happened, when he had that game, he threw like 60 passes. So the statistical production was there. But it's hard to at the time, coming off of Troy, Georgia Tech, and LSU, it was hard to give him credit. But now, retroactively looking back, I think you can rope that in as 3 straight good games. He's had a good game against Boston College. He played well against North Carolina. I like what he did against Syracuse. Looking back, and those are, I'd say, 3 not very good defenses. But Cade, I mean, when we lost to LSU, I was like, man, Cade might just be someone who can take care of business against these weaker ACC opponents, but can't win the big game. After Georgia Tech and even after Troy, I was thinking, I don't know if Cade can even consistently take care of business against our own conference. So seeing him go against even subpar defenses and play very well and get the job done meant a lot. And again, makes me feel more confident going into the rest of the season. Maybe less so than the start of the season, but from where we're at now, I do feel better after this game about Cade Klubnik.
Yeah, I'd say the same. And an area that I think has been very maligned for this Clemson offense that I was really happy to see, they played well on Saturday. Probably, at least to my untrained eye, the best game the offensive line has played all year in terms of pass blocking and protecting Cade, who I really don't think was ever in any danger of being touched when he dropped back.
Yeah, I fully agree. Again, it's hard with these things where it's like, I see our offensive line struggle for so long, and then I see them play a subpar opponent. That's one time, I think, of all the things we're listing today, that's one where I feel the quickest to kind of maybe not count as much give him as much credit and stuff. But if I'm looking at the snap counts, I like looking at PFF grades for like blocking and stuff. I trust the PFF. They're not perfect, but I trust them more than my own untrained eye, like you said and stuff. But it has a good game from us throughout. I mean, it says Colin Sadler, Blake Miller, Lithium. I just totally butchered that name. Lithicum. Yeah. Braden Jacobs and Harris Sewell all played over 50 snaps. They all had a pass rush grade over 60. Blake Miller with an 84 and Braden Jacobs with a 74. I love what Braden Jacobs has done this season. I think he's been a very good lineman all throughout the season relative to I believe he's a sophomore, I think. And I mean he wasn't playing at all last year. He was a big recruit. And I think he's been true quietest bright spot on this offense, and he's had a really good season, and he's continued that this year. But yeah, I think he'll slide on that Blake Miller spot when Blake Miller leaves next year. But yeah, I can't give the line too much credit after this game. I don't think Boston College's front seven or their defensive line is that good. But again, it's nice to see us check that box and take care of business.
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-22 because you can say they look good, and they did, and they played well. But at the same time, I think you have to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt and consider who they're playing against. But either way, it's baby steps, and it's a start. If you play well against a bad team, then maybe as you take those next steps along in the maturation process, then it slowly matriculates into playing well against a good team, which, I think the team that Clemson's playing this coming Saturday is just a trifle bit better than Boston College.
Absolutely, yes.
One thing that I was really, and I don't know that we've seen this in quite some time, and I'll be full disclosure, I didn't get to watch the first half on Saturday. My wife and I, we were on our way back from a wedding, but was listening on the radio. I got to listen to most of the first half on the radio. How about the 10 points in the final 80 seconds of the first half? How long has it been since we've seen just a burst of points like that to end a half? It's been a while.
Oh yeah. I can't lie. This might hurt the show a little bit. I wasn't watching the end of the first half. I was watching back and forth. My little brothers had a state swim meet. They won a high school state championship and stuff. So I was at that meet, but I had the game on
Very nice.
looking down. But going into halftime, it was a big part of the meet. And so I had my phone off at that point. So I did miss that like middle hour of the game, I would say. I missed it. So I don't have much to say on it, honestly. But I mean, reading a box score, looking at a play-by-play, it was fun to read, I guess, looking through the game log and stuff.
And Nolan Hooser too, man, he's had a few struggles early in the year, but 2 for 2, 46 and 50 yards. And, right there at the end of the half after the defense got the ball back, Klubnik and hit a big play down the sideline. And they got Hooser in field goal range. I mean, the clock was ticking. I mean, he got it off under the gun. And Swinney, what a great – I don't know if you've seen the highlights. It was not a good snap. And
really?
Swinney had to almost jump up, and he's not the tallest guy in the world. He had to jump up and catch the ball and then bring it back down. And Hooser still got off a great kick. Probably would have been good from 60. So a lot of positives in that regard. Things I think you build off of.
Yeah, you love a highlight from the holder. They don't give many times to shine and stuff, many moments to show their athleticism. But I mean, with that, I think you could say we have the best holder in college football, and I don't know if anyone could argue with you. I don't know if there's any other data. It's a pretty inarguable statistic. So I'll go ahead and say that we have the best holder in college football. But yeah, Hooser last year, his freshman year, obviously that 56-yarder against SMU showed he has a cannon. The consistency, he still plays like a 19-year-old, I would say, in terms of like a week in, week out consistency. I think that he has a pro-ready leg talent, I guess. I don't know if that's the term people use, but in the same way a quarterback might have an arm. Anthony Richardson has incredible arm talent. He's not ready for the NFL. Hooser has incredible leg talent. And I think the consistency will get there with more time at Clemson and stuff. And I think we have a very, very special kicker in our building right now.
Yeah, he just has to harness it a little bit. But certainly, as you said, the talent's there. The leg talent and the strength is there. Well, I do want to talk about a few things that I still find concerning from Saturday, not the least of which, and we harped on this after the UNC game, but it's all well and good to score 31 points in the first half, and that's great. And you get a big lead going into halftime. But once again, for the second straight game against a putrid opponent, you had no offense in the second half. None. You scored 7 points in the second half, and that came with 20 seconds to play on a Keith Adams Jr. 1-yard run. So my question is, what in the world is this Jekyll and Hyde with the Clemson offense? It's been tremendous in the first half, and then it goes away.
I fully agree. We don't keep our foot on the gas, and that does drive me crazy. And like
Maddening. God.
it's exactly, and it's we need. I think like there's first of all, and I'm projecting this a little bit. This is a little bit of a straw man, but if there's any sense of like character or like doing the right thing in terms of like don't run up the score, if there's like a moral reason we don't do that, I strongly disagree with that. I think that's ridiculous. I don't know why we're trying to protect the feelings, and this might be a controversial take. I don't know why we're trying to protect the feelings of these grown men getting paid millions
They're
of
not high
dollars
school
to
kids.
play
They're grown
football.
men.
They're not high school.
Deal
And
with
even
it.
if they were even grown men, even high schoolers should be held to that standard. But yeah, they're not kids. They're grown men. They're getting paid millions of dollars to play this sport, and they're losing. And also, I've been in games where the coach obliterates us and decides to like tone it back. I'm more offended when they do that than when they keep putting their foot on the gas. Like I want, if they make a three and they're not like I'm thinking about basketball because I played basketball when I played football. But if they make a three and they're not celebrating, they just got their heads down like it's nothing. That hurts more than when they're like celebrating in your face and stuff. So I disagree from a moral standpoint. And if you're talking about like a player development standpoint, like we want to get these younger guys reps, we want to get them in-depth value playing in games that when we rely on them and we need them to win games, they have those reps under their belt. I can subscribe to that idea. I would personally say at this point in the season, I'd rather keep the starters in, beat a team by as much as possible, and go in the locker room going crazy and feeling confident and feeling good so we can get some character and culture and heart back for this program. But if you want to go ahead and say, let's put in these subs, let's put in the second unit, keep your foot on the gas. Let Vizina take some shots. Like, call plays like it's still the starters. I feel like we're calling plays to bleed as much clock as possible instead of trying to move down the field. And that's my biggest issue with what we're doing. I think we need to put in these backups and say, hey, this is your chance to prove you can start for a Power 4 for an ACC school with the pedigree that Clemson has, and to prove that you're someone that we needed to develop and bring up in this program and that could be the future of this program. Go ahead and prove it. And I feel like we don't give players an opportunity to do that because we want to bleed out the game and get out of there before we can actually make an impact with these second unit players.
Right. And I'm just going to throw this little anecdote into the show tonight. So I'm from Woodruff, and anybody that has been around long enough is familiar with Woodruff knows that forever, and especially in the 70s and 80s, Woodruff was a football dynasty. And
Okay.
we went through a stretch where between 1975 and 1984, we won 7 state championships in 10 years. So back in the late 70s, and I want to say this was around 1978, and a lot of people would argue the 1978 team might have been our best team or one of the top 3 teams we've ever had. They played Westminster, which for anybody that doesn't know is now West Oak. So back in the day, it was Westminster High School. It was a game at Westminster, and Woodruff was winning the game mercilessly. I mean, Westminster was bad.
Yeah.
So our legendary coach, Willie Varner, actually took his starters out midway through the fourth quarter, had the second and third string in. Well, Westminster dared to keep their starters in and actually drove down the field and ended up kicking a field goal against Woodruff's third string. Willie Varner took that as such an affront that he put all of his starting offense back in and said, do what you want to. But whatever you do, you make them pay for that field goal they just kicked. We scored 3 more touchdowns in the final 7 minutes and won the game 89-3.
You got it.
So that's my little historical anecdote tonight, but it goes right along with what you're saying. It's football. It's a gladiator sport. Sometimes there's no need to spare your opponent's feelings for the sake of feeling good about your own moral superiority.
It also feels better to beat the crap out of an opponent. Like if we're talking about, like I'd much rather, if you tell me right now that we hurt SMU's feelings, but we feel so excited, we go into that locker room like celebrating and cheering, I'd much rather take that for 100%.
Got that right. One other thing I want to talk about, then we're going to switch gears for a few minutes, talk about SMU coming up Saturday. As good as Clemson offense looked throwing the ball on Saturday, the running game, not a great day running the ball against what we've already said is not a good Boston College defensive front. Adam Randall had 38 yards on 10 carries. That's 3.8 yards per carry. That's got to be concerning once you start going up against better defenses. You've got SMU, but then you've got a Duke team that's good. You've got Florida State looming. 3.8 yards carry and going to hack it coming up in the next month.
Yeah, we can talk about it next week. I don't think Duke is that good as the record shows, but we can talk about that another time. I think that there's like Cade Klubnik and Keith Adams did end up leading us in rushing yards, but that was at a point in the game when it didn't matter. I think overall in terms of like meaningful, when we take out garbage time, like you do when you look at a lot of statistics, Cade Klubnik essentially led us in rushing today. And there's different like in the NFL, there's different quarterbacks where like a quarterback leading your team in rushing can mean many different things. Like when Lamar Jackson does it, it's cool. But like Patrick Mahomes is the leading rusher for the Chiefs right now, and that's negative. It's a negative indictment to how bad the Chiefs running game has been with Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. I think that's we're one of those teams. If Cade Klubnik is our leading rusher, that's not a good thing. That means that our running backs are not doing their job because Klubnik can get us 35 to 45, in this case 48 yards in a game very consistently. But we need a running back that can do more than that. Obviously, 3.6 yards per carry is not very good. You want to see 4. It was 3.6 with 10 carries for 36 yards from Randall. Yeah, I'm bought in on Randall. I was very skeptical for a long time. I think he's done a good job. He's a good running back. This definitely, I think we're taking the most out of his talent. We're utilizing him in the best way possible. But yeah, this game was rough, and against this type of opponent, that's definitely concerning. I definitely think that he's a north-south runner. He's not incredibly fast, but he is explosive. And that's a weird combination where you need things to go right. And I think he's a little more reliant on breakaway runs. And like he's not necessarily like a consistent 4 yards in a cloud of dirt type of runner. And I would like to see that in our offense. I don't think it's gonna happen this year. I think he's got the talent to break off enough big plays to be a very good starter for us. But I mean, the consistency is not necessarily there for him.
Yeah, I do agree. Well, let's switch gears. We've talked enough about Boston College. 41-10 win. End of the day, a win is a win. You're going to take it, especially 31 points in terms of the margin does look good. But let's switch gears to SMU. And this is a fresh off the presses rematch of last year's ACC Championship game. SMU, a little bit of a different team. I feel like they were much better defensively last year, but this is still a high-powered offense that's coming into Death Valley, coming off of a 48-45 overtime loss to Baylor. While the defense may not be great for the Mustangs, it's still an offense that can put points on the board. They stretch you out defensively, and based on everything we've seen from the Clemson defense, that worries me a little bit.
Yeah, I'm certainly scared of this SMU offense. I think Kevin Jennings, I said a little bit off air, like, I don't know what he is right now. I saw him last year against Penn State, was one of the worst, like, quarterback performances I've seen from a guy that, like, had a name I recognized, was an established player. I think he can be inconsistent, but he's capable of doing things that, like Cade Klubnik can't do, that a lot of quarterbacks, that Canes King can't do. Like, he has a lot of talent. He's an incredible athlete. I'm scared of his ability to extend plays. I don't know if I hesitate to say this. I'm not going to say. I think we have seen a little bit of that through other quarterbacks. We haven't seen a dual threat like Kevin Jennings at all this season. I looked at the spread. It's 9.5 in our favor. That scares me. That feels like too much. I think these
Feels
are
like
very
a
similar
trap.
opponents. I like that we're at home. It feels a lot like a trap. And I feel like even if we lose, it wouldn't even be like much of a trap. It would just be like, I think it would mean a better team beat us. And I think if we beat them, I would say, hey, we're the better team. But like, I like us because we're at home. I'll get into more of that when we get to the predictions. But 9.5's a lot, and I am scared of their offense. I'm scared of their quarterback.
Right, and you look at some of their skill guys, and their top 2 receivers are really good. You've got Romello Brinson, 484 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jalen Cooper at 271 yards, and then Jordan Hudson at 203 yards. So they're getting a lot of production out of their receivers. And if there's any area of the Clemson defense that has struggled more than the other this year, it's been the secondary, surprisingly. And again, just double reason for me to be a bit concerned that Jennings and SMU will have success in the passing game.
Absolutely. Our secondary has struggled. Last week, Khalil Barnes and Avion Terrell with a PFF grade in the mid to high 60s, which is okay to see. But on film, they just like our defensive line is elite. Our linebacking core is elite. if we're exposed, it's the secondary, and I can just visualize it. Like I don't got the stats to back it. I can just see Kenny Jennings gets past Sammy Brown, gets past Wade Woodhouse, past Peter Woods or whoever, TJ Parker, anyone, and looks downfield. Like I am nervous and I'm worried about the receivers' ability to make plays and stuff. I think that this can be an explosive offense that runs away from this game very quickly.
Conversely, one thing when I look at SMU stats, one thing that does jump off the page at me is that they really are not very much like Clemson has been. They're not a very prolific rushing team. Looking at their stats, their leading rusher is TJ Harden, 415 yards, 5 touchdowns. Then you've got Chris Johnson Jr. at 226 yards. Well, their third leading rusher has 55 yards. They've only rushed for 9 touchdowns as a team. So what that tells me is that they want to do the bulk of their damage through the air. So if you're Tom Allen, if you can find a way to limit the passing game, contain Jennings, and keep them from being successful through the air, what it tells me is that the Clemson front seven should have a really big game if they have to take it from there.
Absolutely. And I'm very curious to see because there is an art to sending pressure in a pass defensive style of way. Because we got to send pressure. We have to be able to get to the quarterback. But we also need to have a lot of people in the secondary and stuff. And I want to see a lot less of an in between from that defensive philosophy. I want to see a lot of cover zero where we're sending everybody in press man. And I want to see a lot of quarters, a lot of quarter, half, or whatever, cover six. I want to see us dropping back a lot more and stuff. I want to see a defense that has more bend don't break philosophy and takes advantage of the moments when we have them. I think if we can allow those check downs, those intermediate throws to get down the field, and then we just shut them down in the red zone when the field shrinks and they're not able to attack vertically, and we're able to take advantage of all those third downs. If we can just send pressure, get some third down sacks, and just anytime they get a holding penalty back 10 yards, we contain that. I think that Tom Allen, there's a just like how I can think of a game plan very easily for SMU, where they just explode are incredibly explosive and fly down the field and beat us with a fiery offense. I can totally see a game plan that Tom Allen needs to implement into whole throughout this game that could absolutely help us neutralize SMU.
No, I agree. And one thing about Jennings at quarterback is he's athletic enough that if you flush him out of the pocket, he's got some improvisation skills. He can make things happen with his legs and, extend a play long enough to find somebody. But at the same time, he's thrown 6 interceptions. He averages about 1 pick a game. So he will cough up the football under duress. And again, you talk about the art of sending pressure. I think if you play those cards right, there is an opportunity there for guys like Ashton Hampton, Khalil Barnes, Avion Terrell on the back end to make some plays, maybe even generate a couple of turnovers.
Absolutely. I mean, we see offenses like SMU all the time. Like they're explosive, they're high variance, and like it's so hard to go on a show beforehand and talk about them and predict what they're going to do because you really have no idea. Like they could put up north of 35 points against us, but I could also absolutely see them have these turnovers. He's got some like some Jameis Winston to him, where it's like Jameis Winston in the NFL. Jameis Winston at Florida State was honestly incredible, but like NFL Jameis Winston, I think he's a little better than that relative to the field of play he's in. But I think that in the way of like I feel like he can make any throw, he can fill a stat sheet, he can facilitate an offense to a player, make that player look incredible. He can also ruin the game with an interception. Kevin Jennings made some of the worst reads and worst throws I've seen, but again, he also does things that I think that off the top of my head, with the Syracuse quarterback down with a torn Achilles, I believe in terms of just like highlight real plays, he does things I don't think anyone else in the ACC can do at quarterback. He has the highest of highs and the lowest of lows of any established quarterback in this conference.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's an interesting matchup, and I'll be there Saturday. Cliff and I are going to be there. So looking forward to that. Be the first game I've been able to cover this year. So should be a lot of fun. And to that end, it's prediction time. So what you got? I'm gonna turn it over to you first.
Oh, I'm gonna put money on SMU plus 9.5 though. I think that they're gonna get that giving 9.5, but I'm still gonna take Clemson overall. Give me Clemson 27, SMU 21.
All right. Well,
no
hey,
reason.
a win,
Yeah.
a win is a win. I would certainly take that. If you
Me
win
too.
that bet, just know that you're treating us to Ardens. We want to throw that in there. Ardens Burger Grill, our
Nice.
great sponsor. So look, it's home game at Death Valley. Go see our friends at Ardens. Get some of those great wings, burgers, hot dogs. You can tell them that here, those of us at Clemson Sports Media around the Paul, that we sent you. You will not be disappointed. And hopefully, I'm not going to be disappointed in my prediction come about 7 o'clock on Saturday night. I think Clemson's able to do some things offensively that will give SMU trouble. I don't think their defense is very good. I think their offense is a little bit better than average. I honestly could see a high-scoring game. I do think Clemson gets out of the gate hot again. I think Jennings is able to make some plays. And I think it's probably a tight game, maybe even going into the fourth quarter. Clemson gets a late score. They put it away late. So I'm going to go Clemson 38, SMU 31.
It's a shootout. I like
38-31. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I said, I don't know if you saw mine, but it said 38-28.
And
38-28.
Cliff chimed in. His prediction is 38-28 Clemson. So Cliff and I are a bit on the same wavelength on this one. So, well, hopefully we're all three right. I don't care what the score is as long as Clemson's got the W beside their name at the end of it.
Absolutely. We could win in 4 overtimes. I don't care. I just need a win right now. For sure.
Or we could just go the LSU Texas A&M route. And what was that years ago? What was that, 7 or 8 overtimes?
Was that Burrow? Was that
No. That was before Joe Burrow, I think. Somebody drop in the comments and just tell us we're idiots. We can't remember the year, but
yeah, it was the greatest. That was the greatest game. I was watching that just casually, just like by myself. One of those days and stuff when you can experience history in the most random places when you're watching sports. And I was just by myself, like probably playing a game on my phone or something like that, and just like it took my attention. It was awesome. But yeah.
Yeah, see, meanwhile, the most stressful overtime game I can remember watching for Clemson was 2016 against NC State, and Kyle Bambard,
yes,
for whatever reason, missed a 33-yard field goal, and we ended up winning in overtime. But, oh, my God, I still have PTSD over that one.
I was watching that game with my grandma. I remember she closed her eyes when the field goal was kicked, and I couldn't watch it either. So I was looking at her. I was looking up at her. I was like 11 years old. She was talking. I was looking up at her, and I remember she had her hands fully covered, and she just started celebrating. And I was like, "You were looking. You pretended that and stuff." But that was when she missed that field goal. That was when he missed that field goal. That was the greatest. Oh my gosh! We wouldn't have won the national championship if that didn't happen. Like that saved our season. It's incredible.
Right. Well, funny story. I just got home from work. I think around the start of the fourth quarter, and when it came down to that field goal, I was holed up in my man cave, and I had the TV on. And when he lined up for that kick, I was down on my knees. I mean, I was the most pious Southern Baptist on the face of the planet before Kyle Bambard kicked that ball. And hey, look, something worked, and Clemson went on to win the national championship. So,
yeah, hey, the look like the prayer worked. I mean, 33-yard field goal missed like that national, that'll turn even the biggest skeptic religious and stuff. I mean, yeah, that's of course.
Oh, definitely.
It's a magical moment.
Of course, and one we'll always remember. But hey, that's going to do it for us on this episode of Around the Paul. Hope everybody comes out to Death Valley on Saturday. We want to see everybody. We want to see the Valley rocking. Want to hear it loud. Clemson Tigers going for their 3rd straight win. Hopefully they come away with it and we're able to talk about it on next week's episode of Around the Paul. But until then, I'm Gary Mitchell, along with Caden Hughes. We sign off by saying good luck, Godspeed, and go Tigers.
Good Tigers.
It's around the pole.